In this video, I would like to talk with you about the 10 reasons for why most people have trouble studying. Now, I think we all know that problem. Sometimes we're like, okay, I want to study right now, but somehow I'm just not capable of doing it. Or for instance, we study and then a couple hours later or a couple of days later, we have forgotten all of it. So what exactly can you do? What exactly are the 10 reasons for why most people have trouble studying? So first of all, let's look at the first reason, which is the background. So which kind of learner are you? Which kind of intelligence suits you best? Have you ever answered these questions? If not, you have come to the right place. Because in this course, we're going to define which kind of learner you are and also which kind of intelligence suits you best. And yes, you are right, there are different kinds of intelligence. So for instance, when we look at learners, are you an auditory learner? Are you a visual learner? Are you a kinesthetic learner? Are you a person that likes to read and or to write and can learn very well with it? Or are you, for instance, a person that has musical intelligence, that has mathematical intelligence, that has any other kind, for instance, like a bodily or, for instance, creative intelligence? Which kind of intelligence do you have? And which kind of intelligence suits you best? Then afterwards, we're going to talk, and this is now the second reason, about long-term strategy, because most people don't have a long-term strategy when it comes to studying. So, for instance, can you learn to remember information for 1 year plus? Yes, of course you can. If you think back to the things you learned in high school, do you remember them? For instance, when you go back to math class and there are certain problems, certain equations, do you know how to use them, or have you forgotten that? I bet you anything you have forgotten that, and to a certain degree, I think everyone will. But you can do a lot in order to remember more of what you have already learned by just simply repeating it. So repetition is the key, but also by using certain strategies that I will teach you here in this course. Then, of course, discipline and motivation. Most people are not very disciplined and their motivation does not last long. So what exactly, first of all, is the difference between discipline and motivation? Well, very simple. Motivation is temporary and discipline is not. You can learn motivation actually very quickly. You can come up with a motivation in seconds, but it's very difficult to actually become disciplined. It takes years and years and years of practice. But if you're disciplined and if you have motivation and compare these two things with each other, you will very soon going to realize that both are equally important. So then let's have a look at the fourth, fifth, and sixth problem. So first of all, most people don't really know their why. They have no idea why they are doing it. So if you do not know why you're learning, then what exactly is the benefit of learning? Do you even know what the benefit of learning this particular thing is? Now, when we think back to, for instance, high school or to primary school, many kids at that age were asking, why exactly am I learning this? Or perhaps they were even asking that aloud in class. And the teacher was sometimes like, oh, because, well, we all need a certain amount of knowledge. We all need to know certain things. But the personal why was not there. The student did not know why he or she had to learn this particular thing. And that is so frustrating. Now, when you are in college or when you have to study for a certain exam, you never really question your why, because most of the time you have it. If you don't have a why yet, find your why. This is probably one of the most important things when it comes to studying. Why exactly are you studying? What exactly is the benefit of doing it? And then number 5, ineffective learning methods. So have you ever, for instance, learned how to learn? If not, that's probably why you are failing. Now, we don't learn to learn in school. We learn to, for instance, memorize things. We learn how to write essays. We learn how to, quote certain dates in history, but we don't really know how to learn. And this is something that I would like to change. This is something that I want to do with you here in this course. I want to show you how to learn. I want to show you which kind of strategies there are that will improve your life and that will help you to remember knowledge and to grasp information much more quickly. So basically, what you always want to have a look at is the effectiveness of your learning methods. Are you really doing something that helps you, or is it perhaps, you're just taking one step forward and two steps backwards? Then, number 6, short-term memory. Can you remember things in the long term? Will you be able to recall them in 2 years? Most of the time, not. Again, it's all about the memory. It's not necessarily all the time about the quality of the information. It is rather about what we can, first of all, comprehend, but also what we can keep. For instance, you can learn amazing things of very, very high quality, and you might have a great teacher. But if you don't remember them 1 year later, and you're like, have I ever learned that? Then what is the point of learning it in the first place? So we have to look at our memory. We have to improve our memory, and we have to be sure that our short-term memory should not be the focus. Our long-term memory should be the focus. So then let's have a look at 7, 8, and 9, and then afterwards we're going to have a look at the last one, which is of course 10. So then number 7, no connection. Have you ever tried connecting both sides of your brain? And this is not a rude question. This is nothing that is supposed to hurt you. This is actually something that is like a normal question for me, because in the last couple of years I've been asking this question to hundreds and hundreds of people from all over the world, and most of the time they didn't even know what the difference between the left and the right part of the brain was. They had no idea about it, and they didn't really know how to train each part of the brain. So what I want to do with you here in this course is I want to show you how to train your brain. So then number 8, no reflection. For instance, when you finish studying for an exam, do you sit down and evaluate which things you've done wrong and which things you've done right? Probably not. Most people don't do that. And that is one of the main problems nowadays. So what you want to do every time you finish studying for something, you want to evaluate, you want to reflect on the process. Now, you always want to ask yourself the question, how can I do better? And if you don't do that, that is probably one of the reasons why every single time you learn, you use methods which are outdated, which don't work, and perhaps even you're taking the completely wrong approach on that topic because you never reflected. You never reflected on the process. And then let's have a look at 9 and 10. First of all, little repetition. Most people don't repeat enough. Most people don't really focus on true knowledge in the sense of knowing things for a long time. They only focus on the knowledge that they are supposed to know for, let's say, next week for the exam, or next month for the term paper, or something like that. So what you want to do is you don't want to focus on just simply short-term repetition, but actually long-term cycles, long-term repetition and long-term knowledge. You have to repeat things in order to know them in the long term. And then number 10, outdated technology. Most of us use pen and paper to study, and that is in my mind good, but we can do other things. We have other great software tools out there that can help us in order to accelerate our learning. There are so many amazing technology pieces out there that we should use, but we don't really do so. We don't really use a lot of apps in order to support our self-learning, but we use 20 apps in order to play games. We don't really use any apps in order, for instance, build our memory, but we have 3 apps in order to improve our photos. And that is the big problem. We need to look at the technology that is out there in order to improve our thinking, in order to improve our learning process. Alright, that was it now here for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to download this infographic, just go to the left top corner and you can download at any given time. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see each other in the next one.